Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, May 6, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that majority of the Greater Antilles, including portions of Jamaica, Cuba and the Bahamas, is being affected by a trough at this time. You can also see lines right here associated with a cold front right there to the north of the northern and eastern Caribbean, and we can also see that ridge of high pressure right there in the northeastern sections of North Atlantic that's responsible for sending some amount of easterly trade winds, not to mention dust from the Sahara Desert across the main development region into the Caribbean. Taking a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see the clouds associated with that trough affecting portions of Jamaica, portions of Cuba and the Bahamas with some amount of clouds and rainfall. Not to mention the clouds associated with that cold front affecting portions of eastern Florida and stretching all the way across the waters to the east of the Bahamas and to the north of Puerto Rico and the eastern Caribbean. We can also see those low-level patches of clouds, not to mention dust. All of that we see in blue across the main development region, it is dust from the Sahara Desert, and that is all moving in an easterly to westerly fashion, all courtesy of that easterly trade wind that was brought about by that high pressure ridge. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean's weather later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made about Saturday's weather in yesterday's video. It was stated that we would have received some amount of rainfall across sections of eastern, central and western Jamaica, not to mention with the bias across sections of southern Jamaica, especially during Saturday afternoon. And what ended up happening? We actually got that morning rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes, so some thunderstorms across portions of Portland, as indicated by the post that was made on our Twitter page at 8:15 a.m. So they indeed did receive some amount of isolated thunder showers, and then later on portions of St. Thomas were reported to have received some amount of rainfall as well. Then another post was made at 1:21 p.m. highlighting some amount of clouds bringing overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of southern and eastern Jamaica as well. Then in the afternoon hours, we had those convective bursts of thunderclouds with all of those high cold cloud tops as indicated by those colors, not to mention those sparkling white dots that indicate the lightning strikes and lightning flashes as well. So we indeed had some amount of afternoon thunderstorms across sections of the island for today, and we indeed have some of our followers confirming that rainfall. Cecile stating rain in Spain, that was 5 hours ago. Karian stating had a nice shower of rain in my area in ERSA, thank God. Best Genius stating thanks, heavy. Another commenter stating getting rain in Spanish Town. Simonia stating Maypen has rain. Switching over to our Instagram page, we can see that we have commenters confirming the rainfall as well. Nick Laverne stating grateful for the little. Cheblu Marie stating a good 15-minute worth of rain was had earlier, give thanks. Portmore Bell states 1 minute sprinkle at Spanish Town Hospital, then it just gone. So then Simret Selassie confirming the rainfall in Kingston 6. Panton Giovanni stating rain in Spanish Town. Another commenter stating how is the rain in Spanish Town because Central Village is dry, and then she confirming that it's raining from about 2 p.m. non-stop. So we indeed had that afternoon thunderstorms, and then as you can see all of that cleared out with the cloud cover that was being blown off towards the east, all of those high cold cloud tops. So it's not every time that we see lots of clouds on the satellite images that we receive rainfall. More than likely they're going to bring overcast skies, and that was what was happening. It's usually wherever we see the sparkling white dots, that's where majority of the thunderstorms and the rainfall is located. And right now during recording hour, we can see a lot of lightning flashes right there off the coast of St. Elizabeth to the south of Westmoreland. And the Doppler radar images confirm this rainfall. We can see the greens and the yellows that represent moderate to heavy rainfall right there to the southwest of St. Elizabeth, to the south of Westmoreland. So I hope that the fishers and other marine interests are taking necessary precautions so that they are not that drastically affected. Taking a look at what the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology is showing for the rainfall that we received across Jamaica for the past 24 hours. This indeed confirms the rainfall that Portland received in the morning, not to mention St. Thomas. Then it's spreading to sections of some south central and southwestern parishes during the afternoon hours. Taking a look at the temperatures for tonight, we can see that we have 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as usual these temperatures should be getting lower as the night progresses. Taking a look at the temperatures for tomorrow, we can see that Jamaica is still embedded in some slight yellows that represent some above normal temperatures. So it could be at least 1 degree Celsius above normal, and we can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are showing 18Z, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday. And when we have consensus like this, chances of it actually happening are much higher. So if we're going to be receiving 1 degree Celsius above average, and the average temperatures for the month of May is 89 degrees Fahrenheit, which is actually about 32 degrees Celsius, we should be receiving anywhere from 32 to 33 degrees Celsius at most for tomorrow. Taking a look at the dry air map, we can see that we have a lot of dry air across the far southern Caribbean, as indicated by all of those reds. The driest air seems to be right there off the coast of Africa, associated with the Sahara Desert. Jamaica right now is in some slight dry air, as indicated by the yellows, but considering that there's a trough in the air, the atmosphere is actually quite moistened at this time, and we should be receiving some more rainfall tomorrow, considering that the air is that moist. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast, we can see that for Sunday, 2 p.m. on Sunday, we still have some slight Saharan dust across portions of the central Caribbean, including Jamaica. Majority of the dust is right there across the main development region, not to mention Africa. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, both the Euro and the GFS are showing that for 12 p.m. on Sunday, Jamaica is still being surrounded by a lot of blues that represent 1.5 meter wave heights or less, as seen by the key at the bottom right. And that's due to the fact that the wind won't be that strong. We're seeing lots of greens, especially across the south coast of the island, that represent anywhere from 10 to 20 knot winds. But where does all of this air pile up? Where do we have the least amount of winds across the island? We see that on the key, the least amount of winds are represented by the blues. That's at least anywhere from 5 to 0 or 0 to 5 knot wind. And those seem to be right there across the inland areas of central and western Jamaica. So the chance of afternoon convection are still high again for Sunday afternoon. So try to get that laundry done early. And with the wind shear coming in from the west again, just like what happened for today, we might have something similar to what we had today, just like what we saw in the satellite images. The wind shear blows those upper level clouds, or the thunder clouds, their high cold cloud tops, off towards the east. That was exactly what took place today. So we might have something similar going on whenever those low level clouds are being pushed from east to west, and then they develop into afternoon convective thunder clouds. So some cumulonimbus clouds are definitely expected, especially across those very same spots. But where exactly? Let us take a look at the precipitation forecast for tomorrow. We can see that 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 9 a.m. Jamaica time, we see some blues that represent some slight rainfall right there across portions of eastern Jamaica again. So maybe St. Thomas and Portland might get in on some more rainfall, just like what happened today. That's 9 a.m. Skipping ahead to about 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, we see a lot of blues across portions of eastern, central, and western Jamaica. Even some darker shades of blues right there across portions of maybe Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Elizabeth. So they might even receive some deep convection in there. 3 p.m. Jamaica time on Sunday. So try your best to get that laundry done early. We can even see some consensus on what the accumulated precipitation forecast is showing. We know that when we have consensus on both maps, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Even up to an inch of rainfall is possible across that very spot that the other maps were just showing. So definitely some rainfall is in store for the island for tomorrow, especially southern Jamaica. And we're indeed grateful for that rainfall, considering that we're in May, and May is our secondary rainy season. We usually receive up to 213 millimeters of rainfall during this month, so we'll take all the rainfall that we can get. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we can see a lot of clouds right there moving across portions of the northern section of South America from east to west, a section of French Guyana, Suriname, not to mention eastern Venezuela. Colombia getting in on some rainfall as usual, some deep convection I might add, not to mention portions of the southern United States as well. Taking a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, we can see that we had some amount of passing showers here and there, nothing too drastic going on at all. Even on the Barbados radar, not much to talk about, just a few passing showers, nothing imminent or a threat any at all at this time. Taking a look at a wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see that the most activity that we have right now is right there across portions of French Guyana, not to mention sections of southern Cuba, south central Cuba that is, as well as portions of Florida right there associated with the trough and the cold front. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that we have somewhat of a disagreement across the eastern Caribbean by both the Euro and the GFS. For 18Z on Sunday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday, we see more above normal temperatures on the ECMW for the Euromol for the Eastern Caribbean, while the GFS is showing more average temperatures. So we shall see exactly which one of those maps wins when we get the actual temperature readings from the thermometers tomorrow. Either way, we have consensus with the above normal temperatures across portions of the southern Caribbean, so the ABC Islands, northern Venezuela, portions of Colombia, sections of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Above normal temperatures are expected there, not to mention portions of the central and portions of the southern US, not to mention Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras. And considering that they're in a drought, all of these above normal temperatures aren't helping at all. We can see some slight below average temperatures right there off the coast of Nicaragua, and that's where we have the consensus. A lot of below normal temperatures right there off the east coast of the United States, as indicated by the blues and the greens, as we can see on the key to the right. Taking a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Sunday, we can see that the most haze associated with the Sahara Desert is right there across portions of northern and eastern Caribbean. So anywhere from Hispaniola eastward, Puerto Rico, maybe Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts, portions of Guadeloupe, St. Lucia, Dominica, Barbados, St. Vincent, Grenada, might get in on some of that Saharan dust. Let's take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow. We can see that we have those purples as usual across the very same spots that we saw them yesterday on both maps. So the far south of Jamaica and to the far east of the Caribbean, that's where we have those purples that represent 2 meter wave heights or more, while the rest of the basin has blues that represent at least 1.5 meter wave heights or less. And that's due to the fact that we'll be receiving the strongest winds in those very spots. The yellows, wherever we have the yellows, that's where we have the strongest winds. So it makes sense that that's where we'll have the highest waves. So we can see the greens that represent anywhere from 10 to 20 knot winds across majority of the Caribbean. It's coming in from the east for Sunday. Taking a look at the precipitation forecast for tomorrow, these maps from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. So it's not going to be all the rainfall over the whole 24 hours. But then, likely, if they're not already getting that rainfall, they're going to be getting it sometime tomorrow. And we can see that majority of the rainfall is right there to the north of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico associated with that cold front. We can see some amount of rainfall to be had across portions of Cuba, more rainfall still to come across portions of the Bahamas, the Turks and Caicos, portions of maybe the southern Caribbean. So still Venezuela, Guyana, Colombia, French Guyana, not to mention Costa Rica and Panama getting in on some of that. And we see consensus, we see agreement on both maps, and we know that when we see consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Taking a look at the western portion of the basin, we can see that yes, we indeed have more rainfall to receive across portions of Mexico. The GFS is a bit more robust, showing even up to an inch of rainfall across those spots as well. But we don't see much in the way of rainfall right there across the Yucatan. Yucatan is in the clear. You might have some slight rainfall right there across the coast of Belize, not to mention sections of Guatemala as well. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.